Thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a Q&A because I feel like I've had so many big life changes recently, and I feel like I just always need like a Q&A after a life change to like get us all up to speed, because you need context. Like if you're gonna be seeing weekly vlogs, you need to know what's going on more or less. I also did kind of one of these right before I moved to London, and I feel like it cleared up a lot of things for a lot of people. There's a dog barking really loud right now. Anyway, I asked you guys to ask me some things that you were curious about on Instagram, and I got the most common questions. We're gonna start straight away because there's a lot. So the first question is, why did you choose Spain? And also, why did you choose Barcelona over Madrid? This Madrid thing, like comparison between Barcelona and Madrid, I have gotten so many of those questions and I don't know why. First of all, for Spain, I decided to move to Spain because I feel like Spain was always like close to my heart. I came to Spain every single year since I was little because I had family living here. Not in the peninsula, but I had family living in the Canary Islands. So I visited Spain every single year, so it just feels like home away from home. Like I feel like a foreigner here, but at the same time I feel at home. Also, I am obsessed with the Spanish language, and I just knew that in life eventually, like when I was gonna have kids and stuff, I was gonna move to Spain. So I was like, why not just do it earlier? And for the Barcelona question, well, first of all, I'm in love with Barcelona. That's the first thing. That's why I wanted to move to Barcelona. Second of all, I want to be near the coast. Madrid does not have a coast, and there's literally like beaches here in Barcelona. And then the third reason was that my cousin lives here, but I don't like, she only lives here right now for university. I don't know if she's gonna stay here, but mostly because I'm just in love with Barcelona and it has a coast. How did you decide London wasn't for you? Honestly, it's not like I had a specific checklist of things like, okay, London doesn't have this, London doesn't have this. It was just the overall energy. Like I could not see myself living there for the rest of my life, and I don't see a reason to live in a place for a few months if it's not bringing me some sort of benefit. So for example, I would love to go live in like Bali for a few months, or like go live in Mexico for a few months, but that's only because they would be giving me something in return. Like either I'm meeting a lot of new people, or practicing the language, or just getting the overall feel of the new place. Whereas London at that point was not giving me anything, and I could not see myself living there when I was old. So I was like, there's honestly no point for me to stay. One of your biggest goals this year was to start your business. I don't see that happening yet. Why? Okay, so my answer for this is quite ambiguous because it's kind of like, yes, I did start a business, but also like, no, I haven't started a business. Basically, when I made that goals video in the beginning of 2022, I had a very stereotypical idea of what a business was. Like it's you're selling physical products or like a service. But as the year went on, thanks to my mom saying this to me all the time, I'm slowly realizing that what I'm doing right now is already kind of running a business. It's not a traditional business, but I am self-employed. I have to pay like business taxes kind of. Actually right now I'm in the process of hiring someone. I sell products online already. I provide services for companies. So technically my mom made me see that what I'm doing right now is technically considered a business, but I just didn't see it that way. Some people would disagree and be like, that is not a business, you are not running a business. But if you want a more stereotypical business, I am now selling Notion templates online, and it has made up quite a big part of my income in the last few months. And since that is selling something, that is the more official part of a business. But yeah, technically my goal didn't change for the year, but it kind of changed of how I saw that goal, if that makes sense. But yeah, I feel like this year I'm slowly starting to take more steps to treat all of this kind of more like a business. Like I have my own personal website now, I am hiring someone at the moment, and there's a lot more things happening that I'm not gonna talk about right now, but I feel like I'm just seeing it in a different way. So while we're on the topic of websites, I want to tell you guys about today's sponsor, Squarespace. So I made my website using Squarespace a few months ago, and I honestly really enjoyed the process because of how flexible it was. Like you could literally change around anything. While you're editing the website, you can literally kind of drag the blocks around and change everything to specifically how you want everything to look like. Like it's very, very enjoyable to use because of how customizable it is. Squarespace has also a lot of different themes, and they also have these little sections section things where you can basically choose a section that you want in your website. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm going to show you guys. But basically it gives you a lot of ideas that you don't have to come up with your website from scratch. If you're new to making a website, it will literally lead you along the way very, very nicely. So if you're thinking of making a personal website or making a website for your business, Squarespace is an amazing place to start. So if you want a free trial, make sure to go to squarespace.com. And if you're ready to make your first purchase of a domain or a website, make sure to go to squarespace.com/analinks. And make sure to use my code analinks for 10% off of your purchase. So going back to the questions, our next one is, did you drop out of university, and if so, why? I did drop out of university. This was a very, very commonly asked question, so I feel like it wasn't as obvious as I thought it would be. My university was not an online university, so just the fact that I've moved countries shows I am not in uni. I feel like low-key I have known for a long time that I didn't want to be in university. Even when I started my gap year, I think deep down I knew that I didn't want to go back. It was just kind of like a first step of going out because I didn't want to just like straight up drop out. So the interruption year was almost like a little test, as in like, okay, am I okay with being out of university? Do I want to pursue other things? So I dropped out. I actually don't know which month I dropped out. I think I honestly dropped out like March or February, so it's been a few months. I haven't exactly like publicized it, but I haven't been hiding it. So in my first video that I did when I was like taking an interruption year in university, I mentioned that for me, university was always kind of a plan B. It was just kind of something to do, but it wasn't like something I really wanted to do. And what I started thinking recently is that for me, if I have a backup plan, then it means that I'm not committing to my original goal. So technically, I don't want to have a backup plan. I don't even want to think of that as a possibility that can happen. And I know to a lot of people that can sound really naive, but for me, like, that's just my way of thinking. Like, if I have a backup plan, then that's it. I'm not committed. Like, I'm setting myself up for failure. For me, I am lucky enough that I have the backup plan that if the worst things happen right now and like literally YouTube is deleted, all my money's gone, I can buy a ticket to Ireland and go stay with my mom and figure things out. But I don't even want to think about that that's not in my reality. That's not something I'm allowing to happen. So yeah, I can already see a lot of people would see that as naive thinking, but for me, honestly, it's not naive. For me, thinking of a way of like, I'm gonna go to university just because like backup, like just in case things don't work out. For me, that just means I'm not fully committed and I'm doubting myself and I have fears, whereas I don't have that. I have full belief that everything's gonna work out really well. You know, law of assumption. I know everything's gonna be fine and I don't need a backup plan. So yeah, I am not in university anymore and I'm very, very happy about it. The next question is, where do you get most of your income from then, since you don't work? So I have a whole video on this, by the way, if you want to see, but I get most of my income from like social media related things. I feel like I can't really say YouTube anymore because honestly, like, YouTube AdSense is horrible. Everybody knows that. And even YouTube sponsors are not my main source of income. It's mostly Skillshare and right now Notion templates. So honestly, I feel like I just have to say like social media overall. But I'm also working on a couple of other things right now that are not really related to social media. So I'm not gonna talk about it right now because like it's in the process of like happening, kind of. But yeah, in the future I will. But just so you know, I'm not one of those people that think that I'm gonna be a YouTuber till I'm 80. I have plans. It's just that I don't want to go the traditional route, basically. This keeps going back to the uni question, but I don't know. I feel like people would be curious about how I'm expecting to make money. How is your dating life going and why don't you date? My dating life literally does not exist, and it's not like on purpose. Like, it's not like I'm intentionally not dating anyone. I think I'm honestly just too busy that even if I have like a shot, I don't even see it that way. I'm just like, I'm busy right now. Basically, I'm not looking for anything, but I'm also not saying no to anything. It just hasn't happened. I just feel like I'm not a person who dates a lot anyway. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people that they're always dating someone. I'm not one of those people. Like, I really am fine being alone. My focus is too much on myself right now, which I don't see as a bad thing. That's why I'm not like stressed about it. I'm not one of those people that are like, I've been single for so, like, no. If something does happen and I end up dating, I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm literally just like going with the flow. Like, I don't even think about it. I'm honestly just answering it because if I don't answer it, somebody's gonna assume that I am dating, but I'm not dating right now. Are you planning to live in Barcelona forever? Obviously, I don't know the answer to this question because my brain can change. Like, my opinions can change every year, but as of right now, the answer would be yes, but I wouldn't say Barcelona forever. I would say Spain forever, because I don't know, in a few years I could be like, oh, I want a change of location. But yeah, I really can't give a full answer because I don't know, but I did move here with the intention of that. Do you ever feel lonely after moving so much? Yes and no. Like, when you put it that way, I'm like, yes, kind of. Well, it's not that I have moved so much, but like, for example, I don't think about this often, but whenever I see people that have had like a lifelong best friend that they've had since they were like 6 years old, it honestly makes me really like sad for a moment that I don't have that, because I've moved so much. And like, to this day, like, I don't have a childhood best friend, because the friends I had when I was 6, 7, 8, like I don't live near them anymore. Like, I've moved a lot during that time of my life. And even right now, for example, like, I had amazing friends in London and I moved away, and once again I have no friends here. Obviously my friends are still there, I can still speak to them, but I can't just like plan something with them and go meet them. So like, to a point, yes, maybe a little bit, but no regrets about moving. I feel like I've experienced a lot by moving so much. Do you have any future plans surrounding education? Are you gonna go back to studying or apprenticeships? So when people say, do you have any plans for education? The answer is yes, but that's not usually what they're asking. The question is actually usually implied that like, do you have plans for formal education, as in university, or like apprenticeships, as they said. A formal education, as in university, I don't have plans for that. I'm trying to avoid that. I don't feel like it is something I need. Education, of course, lifelong learning, always. There's so many different courses that I want to take, but not like official university degrees that cost like 10,000 a year. Yeah, so none of that, but definitely learning, obviously. I would potentially take a coding bootcamp in the future, which is kind of like education, not really. It's like, I mean, obviously it is education because you're learning how to code, but I mean, it's not like university or something. I am considering doing that in the future, but if I do it, it will be solely because I want to. I don't want to do it just because I feel like that's what I have to do, if that makes sense. Like, right now I'm lucky enough to explore other options and figure out what I really love doing. So basically, I love computer science. I still want to learn how to code, but I would want to do it almost as a hobby. Do you feel any kind of anxiety living far from your parents? I don't at all. I feel like that's also just because of my childhood and how much I've moved. So like, ever since I was 8 years old, I haven't lived near my dad. So like, he lives in Latvia. I visit him around like every year, but like, I haven't lived with him, so that already makes things a lot easier. Also, when I was 15 years old, I did an exchange year, which I lived with my cousins and my auntie and my uncle and stuff, which is still family, but it basically allowed me to be comfortable from living specifically from my parents. So yeah, I don't really feel anxious anymore. It feels very normal. Obviously, it would be nice to live in the same country, and I do see that happening moderately soon. I'm hoping my mom will come join me in Spain, but yeah, I don't feel anxiety about it. Like, I'm fine. Are you able to communicate with native speakers in Spain? Thankfully, yes, so far. So I spent like 3 hours on a call. I posted a video recently. It's a language learning video, and I spent 3 hours on a call to like a gas and electricity provider trying to change the owner of a contract. Like, it was so difficult, and after that call, I was like, wow, like, I am very proud of myself because I did that. Like, I did that fully in Spanish. Of course, I will have moments where I'm struggling, but the main thing is that I can get by. I think the only thing is that I still fail to kind of show my personality in Spanish a little bit because I'm missing that like quick speech, quick thinking. So for example, for me, it's almost easier to like speak more formal Spanish than to make friends in Spanish, because even though I could make friends easily in English, for example, in Spanish I think a lot slower, so I almost don't show my personality. It's very generic. So yes, I can't speak to native speakers, but there's still so much improvement to go. How do you feel living alone? Do you ever feel overwhelmed with the amount of freedom you have? Oh my god, this question, when I read this, I was like, yes. I always feel so overwhelmed by the amount of freedom I have, and I know that sounds very like crappy to say. It sounds like I'm very ungrateful, like, oh, I have so much freedom. But no, like, when you're in control of your time, you really end up procrastinating so much, because when you spent your whole life with people telling you what to do, like in school, like when you're living with your parents, you have like chores to do and stuff. When you spend your whole life living like that, and then, you know, at 19 years old, I'm basically like, okay, I don't have university, I am fully self-employed, I am fully in control of my own time. It's overwhelming. It's literally like you don't know how to manage your own time because it's not something you've really been taught. Basically, I have dealt a lot with self-sabotage in the last few months as I've been like fully self-employed, like not in university, and I'm learning to manage my time better like each month, but it has been very hard. Basically, that's one of the biggest things I'm working on right now. That's also why I feel like London era was not my era, because I really like sabotaged myself. I knew what was good for me, and that's not what I did, basically. Are you planning to eventually learn and speak Catalan? For sure, I really want to learn Catalan. For anyone that doesn't know, Catalan is actually the official language of Barcelona. Not just Barcelona, but also like Catalonia. Basically, Barcelona is in Catalonia, and in Catalonia they speak Catalan. It's not the only place they speak Catalan, but basically in this region, Catalan and Spanish are both official languages. And actually, if you come to Spain and you look at all the different like signs, most of them will be in Catalan, but you do not need Catalan to get by. Like, I can speak zero Catalan and I'm gonna be completely fine, because everybody here also speaks Spanish. Also, because it's a really big city with a lot of tourists, a lot of people also speak English, but you should learn Spanish. Like if you're gonna move to Barcelona, you're not always gonna get away with English. You really should learn Spanish. But I personally do want to learn Catalan because, like I said, at the moment it's my goal to stay here for the rest of my life. So I feel like if I'm gonna live in this region for the rest of my life, it makes sense to learn Catalan. Like if I have kids here, for example, I know we're thinking very far ahead, but if I have kids here, they're gonna have to learn Catalan in school. I don't know, it's just like, I feel like it's just incorporating myself into the local culture a bit more. And the last question we have is, do you finally feel like you live here, or do you still get tourist vibes? I am kind of like 50-50 right now, because I do feel like I live here, because like every time I go grocery shopping, or like I go to the gym, or I like, for example, when I made that call for like the changing the electricity and gas supplies thing, like I really felt like, oh my god, I live here, like that's insane. But at the same time, I've only been here for about 2 weeks and I haven't done anything social yet. The next 2 weeks of my life are actually going to be quite social, but up until this moment right now, I haven't really like gone out with anyone. Like I haven't went to a restaurant, I haven't been to any clubs, and I feel like, honestly, I know that seems like also very touristic, but that will almost make me feel like, oh yeah, like okay, I'm living here. Like if I go out to dinner and then I come back and I'm in my own apartment, like that feels like, oh, I live here. So I feel like I live here, but not like, I don't feel like I have lived here for a long time, which is exactly how it is. I've only lived here for about 2 weeks, and that is exactly how it feels right now. Anyway, I hope I answered your guys' biggest questions. Let me know if you have any other ones. I can like comment the answers down below. I am overheating like crazy. It is 35 degrees right now. I am sweating if you cannot tell. And this room has air conditioning, but it's broken. So I am so hot right now. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Peace out. Thank you all for watching. I love you all, and I will see you guys soon.